In this video, I'm going to show how you can change the color shading of buildings to suit a drawing that you're working on and make it easier for people to understand. So we're starting with a template QGIS of campus, and this is my base template that I always use for drawings when I'm working on a campus drawing. And so first of all, every building is red, which I don't want. I only want buildings that are red that are going to be part of the project that I'm working on. So first of all, let's just start right off by making every building gray, like that. That's fine. That's pretty easy. But the next thing is that I have this project here, and it's a very large project. I'm just showing a small corner of it. But my point is that the buildings that are in this lime green are actually buildings that are a part that need fiber circuits to them. The ones that but they pass through other buildings, so they're kind of part of the design, but they're actually spliced through or expressed through these buildings. So really the technician won't even really need to visit these buildings because these are already pre-existing fiber cables that have been built up already. So long story short, I will need the buildings to be, so I am concerned about these buildings, the one that are green, and then I am going to call these buildings out on the drawing as well and just make them a different color also. So let's say looks like at this point we have building named Brody, Breslin, and Wilson that we want to do our primary color, which I will make red because they're actually really a part of the drawing. So we'll come over here. First thing we want to do is duplicate the building, or not the building layer. So now we've just created a whole different. And the next thing is we want to make sure we have the order right. So because it's going to build it on top of so this is the more primary, so it's the higher color. To change this, we call this main buildings, like that. Okay, so now we need to tell QGIS to filter out these buildings. So what we want to do is create a filter. Come down here and do filter, and then it's going to bring up this right here. So what we're going to do is filter on the name. So we'll say building name, that goes down here, equals, and then we can come over here and do so this is going to give us a list of all the building names that are in this. So then we were looking for Breslin, so we can just do this and search for it, equals Breslin. So what that's going to do is, and then we can test it, and that, and then we can say OK, and then that will turn on. What we want to do then is make this one something that sticks out, so red. So, and then also, I've already got, since this is a template, I've already got the styling and everything set up for the labels. So I just got to turn on the labels, and then you can see it puts a nice label in there for us. Okay, so that's great for one building, but how do we keep moving from here? So we'll push our filter icon, and then we'll just keep going, and we'll say or building name equals, and then we'll come over here and we're looking for Brody, and we'll see. I don't know why it does this, but you have to do this and then that, and then it. So sometimes you have to check that. So, and there's Brody. So it brings it in. And then the other building that we were talking about was Wilson. So we'll do a third building here, Wilson. Wilson. Okay, so then you can always test it to make sure it's happy. It looked like it liked it, and then okay. And then, but we had a tiny little problem, and because we didn't put the ore in here, so that's going to cause an issue. We test it. So returned 2 rows. And then what we needed to do here is when we say ore, we should say ore building name, and then say equals, and then listen. There it is. Okay, so that gives you some good troubleshooting if it's not working the way you thought. You kind of got to go in, and then it says it returned 3 rows, so we have 3 buildings in. So that's good. So if it doesn't populate like it did before, just hop back into SQL and make sure that it looks like this. Test it again. Okay. All right. So there we go. So there's our 3 buildings. Now we can just do this again by coming over here and doing the duplicate the layer. So it say it needs to be in this here, and then we'll call this pass through buildings. So not quite as important to the drawing, but nonetheless it is nice to have them in there. So we can just kind of show that they are kind of part of the design. So what we'll do is we'll go in, and we had Union Building was a pass-through, and Case and Smith. So we'll come in here, we'll say filter, and then we'll say building name equals, and I come over here and we'll say Union. First of all, we got to put our equals in here, and we'll say union, all union, okay, and then we had or building name equals I'm not sure how it is in the database, so it's Smith. No, it's I have to look this one. That one I have to look up because I don't think it's named Smith in the database. And then case hall will be in there. No, it looks like the for that last one, the Smith is actually they're calling it roughly. And show do it for that. So say okay. So we need to come over here and building name equal. There we go. Now we'll test it. I liked it. Okay, good. So there we are. And now we can take the pass-through buildings and we'll make them we'll call them like a blue. So now we've got our pass-through buildings in blue and then our main buildings in red. So that's a good example of how you can use filtering to make buildings different colors. So the next thing is that since you now have different layers for each one, obviously the labels are really annoying. And for the buildings that just campus buildings that we don't really care about. So at this point, we can just go into there and just tone down the font a little bit. So it's at 30, I don't know, maybe 5. Well, it seems like a little better. So we'll probably make these 5. And I would be inclined to change this color too, so it makes them a little bit different than. So maybe instead of yellow, we can choose like this blue color like that. There we go, and we can see the different color for the buildings, the pass-through buildings. So that's another thing you can do, and then so you can just play around with things and see how it works out for you. One thing problem you can run into when you stack buildings up is that the font is going to conflict. So it's going to try to push out. So it's trying to push out the font from this building layer that's 2 layers down, even though this one is on top. So what you can do is you can come over here to layer styling, and then just come in and say allow overlaps, and there you go. So now it's not conflicting. So these buildings will stand out and not have a conflict. So hopefully that helps you. Thanks for watching.